Papers for detention. The state mentions nothing about the potential for obstruction. Nothing about any evidence of obstructing in any way, shape, or form. I can indicate to Your Honor, Laura was suspended on December 17th, a couple weeks before she got arrested. And there's no evidence put forth today by the state to indicate that she ever reached out to the family, to the alleged victim, or any witnesses in this case. None whatsoever.
Imagine a 13-year-old boy stepping into a role no kid should ever know, fatherhood, and the mother in this twisted tale, his 28-year-old elementary school teacher, a woman who once stood at the front of his classroom guiding him through spelling tests and math problems. Now hold on tight, because here comes the twist that'll knock the wind out of you. She's out on bond, walking free through the quiet streets of New Jersey, even as she faces charges that could slam her behind prison bars for decades. How does that even happen? How does a story this dark end with her breathing free air instead of pacing a cell? Picture this boy, barely old enough to ride the bus alone, caught in something so far beyond his years, and then fast forward, he's 19 now, a young man with a voice of his own, and he's saying something that'll spin your head around. It was his idea all along. He's out there telling the world she's innocent, that he pushed for this, not her. What's going on here? Is he shielding her, rewriting a nightmare, or is there a truth we can't even grasp yet? This isn't just a headline, it's a roller coaster of questions that'll keep you up at night. How does a teacher, a figure of trust, end up here? How does a courtroom let her walk? And what does it mean when the boy at the center says he wanted it? Buckle up, folks, because this story is wild, raw, and about to take you on a ride through a case that's got everyone talking, a ride you won't forget anytime soon. This is the story of Laura Karen, 34 years old, a teacher from the small, coastal stretch of Middletownship, New Jersey, where life usually hums along quietly. She's accused of something that'll turn your stomach: years-long sexual relationship with her own 5th grade student, a boy who was just 11 when it all started, still a kid learning his times tables, not navigating something this unthinkable. What kicked off as a bond between teacher and pupil spiraled into allegations that have ripped this tight-knit community to shreds, sent shockwaves of outrage rippling across the internet, and left everyone with the same burning question: why is she free? How does a woman tied to charges this heavy get to step out into the daylight instead of facing a jail cell? Today we're pulling back the curtain on this chilling case, diving deep into the accusations that flipped a classroom into a crime scene, tracing the investigation that finally brought it to light, and unpacking that stunning courtroom moment when a judge looked at it all and said she could walk, at least for now. Stick with us.
What would happen in the future? Miss Karen is a 1-1. She's 1 on a risk of failure to appear, 1 on a risk of new criminal activity with a recommendation of no release based on the first-degree charge that was referenced by the state. She's 34 years old. This is classified as a current violent offense, but does not trigger the new violent criminal activity flag. As the state essentially recognizes, and Mr. Tumbleby points out, Miss Karen has no criminal history whatsoever. So when determining before the court whether there's a sufficient amount of evidence stated otherwise,
because this one's a doozy. Let's get to know JM, the boy caught in the middle of this storm, born in 2005, a quiet kid from Middletownship, New Jersey, where life revolves around school and small-town vibes. He was the shy type, more comfortable lost in video games than chasing the spotlight, the kind of kid who'd light up over a new controller or a tricky level cleared. Teachers were his heroes, the ones he looked to for guidance, and he wasn't alone, growing up alongside his older sister and younger brother in a home that wasn't always steady. Court papers hint at rough patches, maybe fights or tight cash, nothing clear but enough to see why. By 2016, JM and his siblings traded their place for Laura Karen's house, moving in full-time. To them, she wasn't just their 5th grade teacher anymore. She turned into family, a lifeline when things got shaky, someone they leaned on hard. But that trust, so pure and simple, was about to carry a cost. a dark shadow creeping in that would flip his world upside down. It all kicked off in 2016 with sleepovers at Laura Karen's place, just a couple nights here and there, pizza boxes piled up, movies on the TV, a setup that felt innocent enough, like a fun escape for JM and his siblings. But then things turned, and by late 2016 they weren't just visiting, they moved into her Cape May courthouse home full-time, bags unpacked, lives shifted. JM's sister started waking up to an empty bed next to hers, creeping downstairs to find him tucked into Karen's room. Not a one-off, but a pattern. Showers got weird too, secretive, Karen locking the bathroom door while JM was inside, leaving questions hanging in the steam. The younger brother caught something worse one night. Half asleep on the couch, he saw Karen and JM under a blanket, her hand moving in a way that churned his gut. Wrong for any teacher, any kid. This wasn't a blip, it dragged on from 2016 to 2020, a quiet horror baked into their days. Then in 2019, JM, just 13, allegedly became a father to Karen's baby girl, a shocking twist tied to those dark years. It all unraveled in December 2024 when JM's dad scrolled Facebook and stopped cold. Karen's 5-year-old daughter stared back, her face a spitting image of his son, a family resemblance that hit like a punch. Furious, he didn't wait. He posted online, calling her out, lighting a fuse that brought police racing to Middletownship fast. They hauled in the family, and JM's sister cracked it open, showing them a text from JM, his own words admitting he fathered that little girl, begging her to keep it quiet, scared of the fallout. The younger brother piled on, voice trembling as he confirmed the abuse he'd seen years back, dark nights he couldn't unsee. Then JM, now 19, sat with cops and let it spill. It happened twice a week for 4 years, a relentless stretch from 2016 to 2020, and here's the kicker, he'd kept texting Karen, tied to her right up until that Facebook post blew the whole thing wide open, turning whispers into a full-blown storm. Just when you think this can't get crazier, Jim, now 19, sat down with Daily Mail and dropped a bombshell that turned heads. He said drop the charges. I wasn't groomed or forced, I started it, his voice firm, almost pleading, like he's fighting to rewrite the story, insisting she's no villain here. Then January 2025 rolled in, and the Cape May courtroom lit up with tension for Karen's detention hearing, her lawyer standing tall, striking fast, no DNA yet, no criminal past, not a single mark against her, he argued, poking holes in the case. But the prosecution came back swinging, their words thundering through the room, 416 assaults over 4 years, a predator who needs to be locked up now, they demanded, painting her as a monster who preyed on a child. All eyes shifted to the judge, calm amid the storm, and he spoke, I'm not convinced detention's the only way, letting her walk free with strict rules, a decision that sent shockwaves ripping through the town and beyond. Who's Laura Karen, the woman behind this mess? She's 34, born in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, a suburban slice of Normal where she shone as a basketball star, tearing up the court before heading to Cabrini College for an education degree, graduating clean in 2013. For 11 years she taught 5th grade in Cape May, New Jersey, a spotless record, loved by students, a golden girl in the classroom. She lived with her mom in a modest house, spent evenings next door tending to her grandma, the picture of care and duty. But then it gets murky. Why would she take in 3 kids, JM and his siblings, on a teacher's paycheck that barely stretches? JM swears she's a savior, a saint who pulled his family from the edge, but prosecutors see something colder, a predator who spotted weakness and moved in. Those sleepovers that slid into permanent stays, they wave like red flags now, subtle lines she crossed that nobody grabbed, or did someone notice and just look away? January 2025 brought Laura Karen to a packed Cape May courtroom, her detention hearing buzzing with stakes you could feel, her future teetering on the edge. The state came in hot, their prosecutor barking she's a danger to kids, a threat who racked up charges like aggravated sexual assault, 10 to 20 years glaring down if they got their way, begging to keep her caged. Karen's lawyer stood firm, cool as steel, hitting back with no criminal record ever, not even a parking ticket, and no DNA tying her to the kid yet, a case too thin to lock her up now. The judge sat quiet, soaking it in, then dropped his call. Less restrictive means will do, setting her free under level 3 monitoring, no contact with JM or his family, a February 25th date circled for round 2. She walked out, rules tight but no bars, and online the world lost it, screens blazing with "Why is she out?" fury exploding everywhere, voices shouting this can't be right. Here we stand, March 14, 2025, Laura Karen's free, roaming Cape May under watch, but the case isn't sealed, DNA results still hang out there, a ticking clock that could rewrite everything. JM's voice cuts through, now 19, begging drop it, she didn't force me, a plea that makes you pause. Can a kid, 11 or 13, really consent to this? New Jersey law draws a hard line. No, teachers hold power, they can't step over it, it's crystal clear. Yet this mess cracks open bigger things. Trust in who's teaching our kids, justice that feels shaky, safety nets that let JM slip right through. Should she be out free while we wait? I'm tossing it to you. What's your take? Is JM's word enough, or does the law hold firm? Hit me up below. Spill your thoughts. Like if this grabbed you, subscribe to stay in it. Let's keep this rolling. February 25 TH is creeping closer.